Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome back to Heyvallaa Podcast by Mindful Liberty. In today's episode, we're focusing on guarding what matters, protecting your habits from distraction. Let's be honest, we are not living in a distraction-free world. Distraction is everywhere. Notifications, noise, endless scrolling, constant comparison, isn't it? Most habits don't die because we quit. They die because they drowned out. Today's episode is about learning how to protect our habits, your habits, especially your spiritual ones. In Atomic Habits, James Clear explains every habit is competing with hundreds of other options for your attention. The more distractions around you, the weaker your habits become. Distraction doesn't look dangerous, it looks normal. But what steals your attention slowly steals your direction. Habits survive not through willpower, but through protection.
Rather than making it attractive, make it unattractive. That's the hardest one. We can talk about that in a second. Rather than making it easy, make it difficult. So increase friction, add steps between you and the behavior. I find, here's two examples for me. I've tried this new thing where I keep my phone in another room until lunch each day. So usually it's like 9 to 11 or so in the morning. My phone is down the hall, it's in a different room, and I'm in my office. And it's just a chance for me to work on my own priorities rather than whatever's, coming in through the phone. I'm like everybody else. If my phone is right next to me, I will check it every 3 minutes just because it's there. But if it's down the hall, it's only 30 seconds away, but I never go get it. And I always think that's interesting. It's like, did I want it or not? In the one sense, I wanted it badly enough that I would check it every 3 minutes when it was right by me, but I never wanted it so bad that I'd go work 30 seconds to go get it. And I found that a lot of habits are like that. If you just introduce a little bit of friction, they kind of curtail themselves to the desired degree. So beer is another one. I don't think this would work if you actually have an addiction or something, but I've noticed that if I get like a 6-pack of beer and I put it in the front of the fridge and I open it up and it's like right there and I can see it, I'll have one at dinner just because it's there. But if I put it like on the lowest shelf in the fridge, like all the way in the back, I kind of got to bend down to even see it. Sometimes I'll forget. I'll have it. It'll be there for 2 weeks. I won't even remember that it's in there. And so I think that's all about inversion of the first law, make it invisible, and inversion of the third law, make it difficult. The less likely you are to see it, the harder it is to do, the more steps that are involved, the less likely it is to occur. And then the final piece is the inversion of the last law, which is rather than make it satisfying, make it unsatisfying. So layer on some kind of cost or a consequence. And in Atomic Habits, I call this the cardinal rule of behavior change. It's like so pervasive of a teacher, which is behaviors that get immediately rewarded get repeated, and behaviors that get immediately punished get avoided. And it's so obvious, but you have to ask yourself, do you have a good feeling when you do the thing that you want to do, the habit that you want to build? Are you getting immediately rewarded for that? And if you have a habit you're trying to avoid, what is the cost? What is the consequence? Is there something that feels like a punishment there? If so, then you're more likely to avoid it. If not, it gets tricky.
James, what about consistency? How important it is to build a successful lifestyle?
I feel like there's this story that people tell themselves a lot, which is they want to do the big impressive thing. Like you want to do, you want to run a marathon, you want to do a week-long silent meditation retreat, you want to, write the best-selling book, whatever. And I think about it as this balance between consistency and intensity. So intensity is a good story. I ran the marathon, I did the silent meditation retreat. Consistency actually makes progress. I meditate for 5 minutes each day. I run, 3 days a week or whatever. And so people need consistency more than they need intensity. And in fact, what I would say is consistency enlarges ability. Consistency enlarges ability. It's the act of showing up consistently that builds your capacity to do something, that fosters the skill development and growth that you want. And so showing up, even if it's just in a small way, is the way that you actually create the opportunity to do something more intense or more impressive down the line. I also think that there's this deep, important lesson that comes from appreciating consistency and what's required there. Consistency is often adaptability. It's flexibility. There's this story about like mental toughness and being being a disciplined person that we tell ourselves that something like, I grind to make sure this happens. I will, make it happen no matter what the circumstances. Like that, the mentally tough person pushes through regardless of what they face. But I think that in real life, a lot of the time, consistency is actually being flexible. It's being adaptable. If you don't have enough energy, you do the easy version. If you don't have enough time, you do the short version. You find a way to not throw up a 0 that day. You find a way to show up even if it's not ideal. And that is actually being very mentally tough. And so the adaptable person is the one that, what's that line? It's when the storm came, the oak tree fought it and broke, but the willow bent and survived. And so it's like you need a way to manage the storms of life and bend with them while still showing up. If you purely fight against it, you'd think that being tough, that being mentally tough is like, I'm going to make sure this happens, but it actually makes you somewhat brittle. You need it to be a certain way. And when you need life to be a certain way to succeed, you become held hostage by the situation. You need it to be just like that. But if in fact you can be adaptable and you can be flexible, now you are actually more resilient. And so I think there's a balance to strike there, and it feeds into the consistency that will ultimately enlarge your ability.
Islam takes focus seriously. That's why prayer has a fixed time, a fixed direction, and clear boundaries. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to pray with khushu', with mindfulness, presence of the heart. Distraction doesn't only break habits, it breaks connection. That's why Islam teaches us to guard our eyes, our ears, and our time. Protection is part of worship. So, why does distraction win so often? Because it is easy and loud and always available. While good habits are quiet, subtle, easily postponed. Your phone doesn't wait, your prayer does, isn't it? And if you don't guard what matters, the loudest thing will always win. Let's keep this practical. Here are some practical protection strategies. Strategy 1. Create boundaries. Before prayer, silence notifications. Put phone out of sight and out of pocket if you can. Step into a quiet space. Boundaries protect focus. Yes. Boundaries protect focus. Strategy 3. Protect one sacred habit. Don't try to protect everything. Choose one habit. 5 times daily prayer, 5 times one routine, and guard it strongly. Protection builds strength. As the month of Ramadan, distraction don't disappear, but your awareness increases. The month of Shaban helps you practice. Ramadan teaches you to guard. Fasting itself is protection from excess, noise, and impulse. When you guard your habits, you guard your heart. And we all know taqwa is in the heart. Here's a moment of reflection. Ask yourself quietly, what distracts me the most right now? What habit is suffering because of it? What boundary can I set today? That's enough. Remember this. Discipline starts with protection. Focus grows where boundaries exist. Guard what matters, and it will grow. If this episode helped you, subscribe to Heyvallaa Podcast, share it with someone feeling distracted, and protect one habit today. This is Mindful Liberty, helping you to build clarity in a noisy world. Thank you.